This is going to be very interesting. So we've got a lollipop man and he's changed his sign to stop. Now I'm gonna let this do what it needs to do and I'll intervene if I need to. I'm currently in South Australia, situated in Modbury, and I'm gonna head home all the way to Gawler. It's gonna take us through the back ways, which will be cool because I haven't actually done that on camera yet. Start self-driving. Here we go, let's do it. So the last, I've had this car for, I think, a little over a month now. And we've only just done over 1,000 kilometres. And it has been, the best car that I've obviously ever had. I've not really had nice cars previously, so no surprise there. But it's just such an incredible car. There's so many things that you don't realise are so amazing on this car that, until you start driving, your previous car or, an older car or a petrol car, after driving this for a bit, that you go, oh gosh, that just feels so ancient and just not, not up to date. The full self-driving has been amazing. If I head on over to the full self-driving application, you will notice that it's only sitting at 50%. So 50% of the time I'm doing self-driving and the other 50% of the time I'm driving myself. Because I found that when I'm driving with friends and we're going out and we're, cruising together, I kind of want to take the wheel. I don't really, want it to drive itself. I want to be driving the vehicle. But if I'm getting from A to B, or if I'm going to work, like for example, I was just working there in Modbury, when I left my house, I clicked full self-driving and the whole trip there, was self-driving. So if I'm going somewhere that's for work or, that's not for pleasure, I'm not driving for pleasure, I'm hitting that full self-driving button. There has been a few times or a few scenarios that are quite common with needing to intervene with FSD. A couple of them are if we're driving on the highway. So any kind of highway driving is just, it's not great. And the couple of things that it does is it really loves to not cut people off, but it loves to start indicating to go in front of a car while it's in a blind spot. And I don't know if it's like it might be different depending on what culture or where you live, but typically you would indicate, a bit of a distance away from the car that's, on your rear left or your rear right before you decide to make the turn to come into the lane. Where this car, the full self-driving will indicate almost as it's just passed, and then it will kind of come in. And it's a little bit tight for my liking. So that's one thing. Another thing that's really annoying is when there is a slip lane coming onto the highway and you're going straight, because the Tesla wants to stay in the left-hand lane, it's actually indicating going into the slip lane and then back onto the highway because the slip lane's closing, right? It's a merging lane. So that's one thing that is just, that needs to be sorted. Another thing, whenever I'm talking about FSD, and I've caught myself doing this quite a few times, is you typically tend to talk about what's not right, what's not going well. But just for the record, this technology, this, the self-driving is correct and incredible 95% of the times. But the 5% needs to be corrected before people, will stop complaining about it, is I guess what I'm trying to say. But as you can see, we've been going for a little bit here. We've got a Corolla that just indicated into the left and immediately went into the right-hand lane because we are in the hurry mode, which I actually don't mind. I actually don't mind that. I like it. Coming up here to a merging lane, but we've got no cars next to us, so that'll be fine. It's just kind of like this. We've just indicated to the left. We're coming into a merging lane. Really didn't need to do that. Could have stayed in the right-hand lane. Not a problem, but it's just something where you go, it's just unnecessary. Don't need to do that. But yeah, I've had this car for a little over a month now. Absolutely love it. I think the thing that is incredible about it, and it's winter here, it's very cold here in South Australia at the moment, is the fact that I can, heat up my seats, heat up my steering wheel, heat up the cabin prior to getting in my car. That is huge. Like, that is something that, I never could do before with my previous car, and now I just kind of take advantage of, take it for granted. I just, well, let's heat up the cabin and jump in the car, and it's just like expected now. Until you get into an older car and you think, oh golly, what is going on here? It's the car's not ready for me. That's literally the mindset you get into. A big thing when I was thinking about purchasing the Tesla was not so much range anxiety, but will it be able to do what I need it to do, and will my just regular at-home charging be good enough for what I do? Now, I live quite far north here in Adelaide, so, to get to the city is about a 45-minute drive, and I'm a wedding videographer, so most of my weddings are either in McLaren Vale, which is about an hour and a half from where I live, or in the city. And I might do a wedding on a Friday and a Saturday. Now, I haven't done that yet since having this car, but that'll be a true test of range, because if I'm driving, say 2 hours away, then 2 hours home, and then I have to charge the car prior to the next day, that'll be interesting. I might need a supercharger for those scenarios, but I haven't ran into that yet. Now, with the regular at-home charging, I must admit, I have not, I've had this car for over a month. I've done big, jobs of working 2 different places, leaving at 8 in the morning, not getting back till 7, 8 o'clock at night, and it has not been a problem whatsoever. I've got an electrician friend who, is asking me, do you want me to install the, not the full supercharging capabilities, but upgrade your plug so that it can charge twice as fast, or whatever it is. And to be honest, I don't really need it. Now, we're coming into a merging lane up here. We've got a car to our right. It's going to brake and let in the Honda Kona. Good work. It was a little bit aggressive coming up to the Honda. I think it was thinking it might jump in front of it, but then it realized we didn't have the space for that. So that was pretty good. You also notice that whenever I look away from the full self-driving, there will be like a blue highlighted message that will come up and say, pay attention to the road. And if you keep your eyes off the road for a long enough time, it'll beep at you, which I think is fantastic. It just keeps you kind of, you're so inclined to, depends on who you are, but, you get a text message or something like that, you want to grab your phone or whatever, it is going to alert you to say, hey, look forward, we're not going to continue doing full self-driving if you're going to be distracted, which is fascinating. I was actually eating a bag of mushroom chips on the way to this job that I was doing, and while I was eating the mushroom chips, it said something like, have your hands ready to go on the steering wheel, which is different to, don't be distracted. So it can pick up whether or not you're just not paying attention to what's happening in front of you, or whether or not you've got things in your hands where it's basically trying to say to you, get them out of your hands, because if you need to take over, your hands are not free at the moment. So the internal camera must be, distinguishing, what you're doing and how it responds, or how it alerts the driver to pay attention while in full self-driving. But as you can see, one thing that I think would keep me onto the full self-driving subscription, which is 150 Australian dollars here in Australia, obviously. $150 to press a button and just have this thing drive you. Some people will think that's absurd. I think it's pretty reasonable. I would prefer to see that at, say, $99 a month or something like that. The cost of living here in Australia is pretty rampant at the moment. So unless you're working for yourself, or you've got a very good job, $150 a month would be pushing it for a lot of people. So it would be nice to see that a bit lower. Will I have full self-driving for the whole time? Probably not. Maybe for the wedding months of me working, I'll have full self-driving, the capacity to do full self-driving, because that's when I would utilize it the most. But in my downtime, or not busy periods, I'm probably just going to drive regularly. So it's going to be interesting to see how it handles these back roads, because some of the road lines may not be marked. They're very windy, and just for me as a passenger to my vehicle right now is a beautiful view. So this will be nice. A couple of the things that have been said to me since I've owned this vehicle, and people have come in and taken a ride, and I've shown them the full self-driving, is everyone is actually shocked with how premium the interior of the Tesla feels. A lot of people just had this mindset that it was like going to be like cheaper plastics and not so plush kind of interior, but it is a very premium vehicle. Mind you, I do have the premium version. I'm not sure what exactly in terms of materials and whatnot is different between the standard and the premium, but I know I've got a better speaker system, potholes on the left there. It would be nice if they could integrate the pothole detection into the system, but I was thinking about it the other day, like, they've got only cameras, so there's no sensors. And to be able to see the depth of a pothole with a camera that's up here, or even that front one, I mean, maybe they can do it, but it seems like a bit of a stretch to be able to, at speed, figure out whether or not a pothole is large enough for it to make quite a sudden maneuver to dodge it. Not sure how they're going to do that, but see here, all right, that was a big one and I left it, and I probably should have taken over there, but they're the kinds of things that full self-driving, like if I just damage my tire or damage my suspension or something like that from something like, a pothole like that, it'd be pretty disappointing. So you do got to be paying attention, especially when you're in areas where there's going to be potholes and things like that. Incredible views from this road here. I absolutely love these back roads from Modbury to Goolaway. Absolutely stunning. Love it. It is incredible. I do feel like a passenger to this car driving itself, and I feel completely confident. That's the thing about this is, I remember back to my first drive with it, and I remember even just coming out of the street that I live on, I was like, oh gosh, I just want to grab the steering wheel. There's that initial feeling of like, oh, I don't want it to hit something. And then you realize how robust and how, I'm not even going to call it intelligent, but it is very conservative. Like going through here, it's braking. I'd be going flat out through here. But it is very conservative where it needs to be. But there are times where it's not conservative, like the overtaking on a highway, that you kind of go like, oh gosh, come on Tesla, we don't want to be getting the tradies that have just finished their shift and are on their highway home angry at us. So it's doing an excellent job through here. Like this is incredible. And as a passenger to my own vehicle, what you also realize is you take in more of your surroundings. You take in more of where, I drive this road constantly, but I've never looked around and seen, the sheep climbing up the hill there, and, the different paddocks out there, what the properties look like, because you're so focused on what's ahead of you. People could argue that's a good or bad thing. I mean, it is what it is. This is where we're moving. We're moving into full self-driving technology. So, deal with it. Now, when we come up here, I believe it goes to 80 or 100 kilometers an hour. Now, we don't need to indicate left here. This is one connected road, but it is indicating, and I can see on the map that it thinks it's a separate road. Maybe it's called a different name, possibly, and that's why it's indicating. Another thing that passengers will also say to me is how quiet the cabin is. I mean, we're doing 80 kilometers an hour through the back roads here. The mic's on, you know, I've actually got the aircon on level 1 fan because I don't want it to come through the mic. But it is so quiet in here. The cabin is really just comfortable, very comfortable. One thing that is said a lot, actually, 3 or 4 different people have said it to me, is they feel like they're in an aeroplane. They feel like there's a bit of pressure on their head. I'm not exactly sure what that is or what it's from. I believe the cabin is pressurized. Maybe I could be wrong about that. Maybe just let me know in the comments what that may be. But yeah, that is a trending comment for passengers in my Tesla, that they feel like when they get out of it, it's almost like a ride. You know, a bit of they feel like their head's a bit. They feel like their head's got pressure on it. So I'm curious as to what you guys have to say about what that might be. Maybe we'll ask Grok. Hey Grok. I've taken a few people in my Tesla, and when they get out of it, a common comment is that they feel like they've got pressure on their head. What could this be?
It sounds like motion sickness from the Tesla's regenerative braking and smooth, quiet ride. Passengers often feel queasy or head pressure that lingers after getting out. Try chill mode, front seats, or looking ahead to help them adjust.
Yeah, okay. There you have it. So I'm yet to experience, one thing I do want to like experience, and hopefully it doesn't hit me, but we got a lot of kangaroos here in Australia, and especially roads like this, these back roads, whether it's early morning or, at night time, I want to see how the full self-driving reacts to even a kangaroo being on the side of the road, because they're very unpredictable, and especially if you're doing 80 kilometers an hour, if you've got one on the side of the road here and it decides to jump out, it's going to hit the car. So I'm yet to see that. I have seen a video from another YouTube creator doing, they throw like a test dummy out from the side where Tesla can't see the dummy, but they throw it out, and it dodges this dummy every time, even when they're doing 100 kilometers an hour. And I believe that's because, so much of the weight of this vehicle is on where the battery sits, which is on the bottom of the vehicle, is that even when you're doing high speeds, you could be doing 120 in this thing and be turning, and it doesn't feel like, it's planted to the road. It feels very comfortable. It doesn't feel like, you do that in my Honda Jazz. You do 120 and you decide to turn, slightly left or right. It's nerve-wracking. The wheels are very small and the wheelbase is small. It's a very light vehicle. Obviously, we're not comparing apples with apples, but my point is that this car at high speeds is maneuverable. It doesn't feel, you feel very confident with it making turns at such high speeds. Bit of roadkill on the right there. I don't know if it was trying to dodge it there, but it did just dodge the roadkill. That could just be because we were angling, the road was angling to the left, but good thing we didn't run over that, because we would have blood and guts all on the Tesla. So we're currently at 23.5 kilometer streak. Again, it's just one thing that you can't even describe, that my car, with a push of a button, has drove me almost 24 kilometers and I haven't interrupted. Now, we've got a sign here that says 40 kilometers ahead. We're going into a 40 kilometer zone. It is slowing right down. What I like about this is that it's come down to, it's coming down to its 40, right? And the road is an 80k road, and yep, it's just switched over to 40. So it's saying we are now sticking with 40 until we're signed different. Now, this is going to be very interesting. So we've got a lollipop man, and he's changed his sign to stop. Now, I'm going to let this do what it needs to do, and I'll intervene if I need to. But it says stop, and it's going to try. I'm going to have to intervene. You're okay. She's laughed at me. So there you have it. We've got a stop sign in front of us and it almost indicated to the right to start driving. So it did fail there. We're going to hit self-driving again. Thank you very much. And now we're going for it. Now, that's a failure, you know. It should have stopped when the lollipop lady had the stop sign, but it didn't. So there you go. So now, is it going to go back to the speed limit, or do we have to pass one of those signs? I believe we're going to have to pass one of those signs, which is legal. Incredible views here. I absolutely love the fact that I can just look around and actually see the beauty of the state that I live in while my car is driving me. So this is going to be interesting. Is it going to pick up the 80 sign straight away? It has had difficulty with this on regular roads. And this is, you know, something that the, you know, the roadworks people have put up. How quick is it going to recognize that we should be going 80 here? It just thought that was a 30 sign. So again, this is the one thing about the Tesla full self-driving. I'm going to take over. I'm going to say, not following the speed limit. That'll get sent to Tesla. I'm now going to hit full self-driving. And what the beeping was that I was going over the middle line. So yeah, there you have it. These are the small things where you have to intervene. I mean, it was going to disobey the road rule, which is where the road worker is saying, you need to stop, there's oncoming traffic. And it tried to drive by it. So there are times that you need to intervene, and I should have clicked the mic button and told it, you know, exactly what was going on, and then that data gets sent to Tesla. But no doubt, I believe in the next, you know, I said this in another video, a couple of weeks ago, this car didn't have the software that it required in order to do this self-driving. So now that I have the software and Tesla gives us the ability to give feedback, I believe that when you press that mic button, it'll translate what I'm saying and send it to Tesla. Then it will save the data of what the car was seeing, and then they put it into an algorithm and say, this has happened, you know, 1,000 times over, you know, 3,000 cars in Australia. You know, we need to rectify this problem. What's the solution to this problem? Then it will come in the form of an update in our, you know, it could be tomorrow, could be in a couple of weeks. They'll update us and we'll all download the update, and then we'll have more videos go out trying to see if it has fixed those issues. And that is one thing about, you know, when I was buying this vehicle, I had a lot of people tell me, oh, you know, EVs depreciate so heavy, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's an $80,000 car. Like, are you sure you want to buy it? It's, you know, it's a bad financial decision, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it may be different depending on who you are, but I'm not planning on selling. This is going to be my car for the foreseeable future. I don't intend on selling it. I don't really care what the resale value is. Like, I genuinely don't. I don't care if it's worth $10,000. I'm not interested in selling it. It's not something that I intend to get rid of. I wouldn't have purchased it if I was intending on selling it in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years. And my point is that with the Tesla, compared to, say, you know, I was really interested in buying a Civic Type R, which would have been similarly priced, a bit cheaper, is that over time, this car gets more and more features. Every time there's a software update, Tesla will look at something and be like, hey, let's include this, or let's add this, or let's fix this, and I get those updates. I've got the latest hardware cameras in this vehicle, so any kind of full self-driving features that they're going to update in the future, if the government allow for full self-driving without being supervised, my car is in the position where it will be able to take on that update. So regardless of depreciation, et cetera, if this car gets the ability to full self-drive without supervision, I would never do this. But the idea is that, and what I've heard through people that talk about Tesla a lot online, is that you could send your car out being an Uber driver while you're in bed. I would never do that, but if that's the case, you know, when you start talking about vehicle value, it's just irrelevant. Like, I don't really care. One little thing that I will say was quite disappointing, and it's absolutely at no fault of Tesla. But, you know, I drive a lot of highway miles, and we got a chip. We got a chip on the front frunk, and you know, there's no dent on the front, but you know, the paint has chipped right down to the core. So there's no paint there at all. It's very minor, it's very small, but you know, you spend a lot of money on these cars, and you'd expect, you know, I'd expect that if your paint is going to be gone from the frunk, that there has to be quite an impact for that to happen. But it does turn out that the paint is, I wouldn't say thin, but it, you know, there's no paint there. Now, this is interesting. This is going to be very interesting. You cannot go straight from this left lane. I need to go straight. What is it going to do? I'm going to let it, oh, it's indicating right. All right, that was odd. That was very odd. So it thought that the left lane could go straight, probably realized that it was a left lane only, then indicated back into the lane that we started in order to go through that intersection. But back to the paint thing, you know, now I've got paint missing on my bonnet, and I just got it ceramic coated. So even if I decided, oh, I want to PPF the car and get, you know, paint protection, I have to get that fixed. I got it quoted $3,000 to fix this little chip. So that, you know, I mean, that is an argument for PPF. You know, when I got it ceramic coated through Eye Candy Detailing here in Adelaide, amazing company. You know, they said, do you want to get it PPF? Then I should have got it. You know, that is one regret of mine. I wish I got it PPF, because that would have stopped an incident like that happening. It may have even damaged the PPF, but you can replace the PPF. You cannot replace the frunk or the paint on the car. So just a bit of info for those getting a Tesla. If you have one and you've not got any nicks in it, any dents or any paint, you know, off your vehicle, I personally would consider getting PPF if I were to get another Tesla. The problem now is, if I decide to get PPF now, I'm going to have to spend $3,000 or go through my insurance fixing that, which would then, you know, change the look of the car, and, you know, I'd have to get it ceramic coated again, because by fixing it, it would take off the ceramic coat. So I kind of screwed myself, you know, I kind of made a bad decision there. So there you have it. There's a long form video. Let me know if you like these types of videos. I don't know, some people will find this boring, and that's totally fine. It's a long video, but if you are someone that wants to watch things like this, let me know and I'll make more of them. Thank you for watching.